I think about
Playing the
how we,
Oregon
we
Trail.
go from that, from like Oregon Trail, the most basic, simple thing, to now we're talking about using AI for everything, every little detail of your life and how it can help you. And,
It's
and we have
wild.
it all
It's
here. We
wild.
have it here. We have that here. And it tells you anything and everything you want to know, how to do it better, when to do it. Technology is amazing.
This show is for entertainment only. We are not professionals, and nothing said here counts as real advice. Beyond this point, what you do with the information we discuss is solely your responsibility. Please do your own research before making decisions based on anything mentioned in our chats.
All right. What's up, Brandon? How are you?
What's going on, man? You good?
I'm good. Can't complain. Beautiful weekend.
Yeah.
So the last episode I did with Paulina, that was episode 11. We were talking about AI and creativity. All of
Hmm.
us touched on this in our fourth episode, Let's Ask AI. We were just kind of throwing out all of our thoughts and feelings about AI, the impact it's going to have on us. But I figured you would be the best person to ask, or to talk to rather, regarding economy, business, how this is going to affect our wallets. Seeing as you,
the
seeing
be-
as
the best
you,
the best between the three of us.
oh yeah, okay, well, but yeah, but you are way more qualified than we are. You're more of an expert on the subject than we are
Right.
by far. Yeah,
Right.
you studied business administration, right?
Yeah.
You teach economics, finance, business administration as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So with all the high school students, yeah, they come to my class to I try to help them learn a little bit more about how everything works, and especially the economy, business. But in reality, a lot of our students, their parents have their own businesses. I was like, well, go talk
yeah,
to your parents, but sometimes they don't really want to talk to their parents. So I was like, well, at least I can try to spark a little bit of interest in them and maybe
sure,
get them on that right path.
that's true. No, it's totally true. They might feel more comfortable talking to you or asking you a question that, maybe the parents don't have time, right? Maybe they're so busy. And
Also,
by the end of the day, those ideas have already left their minds and they find you at the perfect time. So I'm sure
yeah,
they feel more comfortable asking you things.
you try to make it
So
work.
yeah, we do it again. Time is always limited, right?
Yeah, very much.
So I wanted to ask, to start things off, 10 years from now, how do you think AI is going to affect us on a personal level? Like, do you think you're going to be better off 10 years from now financially with, or due to, or because of AI, or worse off? Like, what is your gut feeling?
I think personally, so with financially, that's a little bit more difficult because I think it's gonna obviously benefit the people who are conscious enough and know how to use it, or trying to use it, or trying to learn about it. And the majority of people, actually, I forgot to mention this earlier to you, but I saw a graph. I think it was 86% of people haven't used AI in any way, shape, or form at all. 80,
86% have not even
86%,
tried
yes,
using it.
exactly. And
Do
so,
you?
yeah,
That
I
seems
believe it.
outrageous.
I
You
believe
do?
it. Yes.
Okay.
I believe it, just because you think about the majority of people, a lot of the developed nations are aging populations. A lot of people are older. Think about how we have to help older people with just like to use a smartphone. So how are they going to use ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, any of those things? They need
Hmm.
a help. They need someone to go through and teach them how to. But yeah, 86 may be a
Fair.
little bit high, but I wouldn't be surprised, because it
Wow.
seems like the people that are actually using it are a very small group of people that are condensed, a condensed group of people that are using it, and those are the ones that are going to be, like you said, financially. I think they're going to be the ones that are be able to take advantage of its uses and to be better off financially because of it. Me
Interesting.
personally, I'm not sure. I don't know how specifically financially it would be able to help me.
Right.
It seems to be more of a not an issue, but a topic that when you have a business, there's different ways that you can use it that can obviously make your work easier, maybe allow you to be more productive, and not
Right.
allow you to have more sales and make more money. But individually, well, I take it back. I have used it. a little bit financially with my investments in the stock market. So
Okay.
I have some, so keep it simple. I invest in index funds. So I have some that I started way back when I first started learning about investing. And so they're overlapping. And so I threw it into, I can't remember, I think it was probably at the time ChatGPT. I was like, all right, I'm invested in these index funds. Like, what can I do to try to get rid of the overlapping?
What
Because
do you mean
without,
overlapping? What do you mean
so
by
like,
overlapping?
so if you have two different funds, and say you have a normal S&P 500 fund and then
Okay.
a technology index fund.
Got it.
So both of those, the main companies are going to be like a Facebook. You're going to have NVIDIA
Mm-hmm.
that make up the majority of both. So instead of putting money into both of the funds when I'm investing into the same thing, well, try to separate them and invest in different funds that are not going to be made up of the same companies.
Okay.
Did I explain it? What you understand? Or
So you said index funds, you're essentially investing
it's like
money and
in
it's
a group
being
in a
more or
group of
less
companies.
divided to different companies. The money you're
Yes,
investing is kind of being allocated to specific different companies within that index.
exactly. Well, it goes into the index, but the index is made up of different companies.
Okay.
So, for example, once again, in the S&P 500, we'll say out of all the companies, the top 500 companies, well, they're all included in the fund, but NVIDIA is going to be one of the companies that has the majority of
I see.
I was going to say of the pie. Like if you look at it as a pie,
Yes.
they're going to have a biggest slice of the pie.
I see what you mean.
So the bigger
Right.
companies, so
They're the
like
most valuable component of the
yeah, they
index.
have the larger percentage of it. So out of all the
Got
companies, well, like I say, NVIDIA, Apple,
Meta.
Google, yeah,
Yeah.
Alphabet, they're going to be the ones that going to make up. Even though you're investing in all 500 companies, well, the
Hmm.
majority is going to go to those companies that are doing the best.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. And
And
so AI
so,
has helped you
yeah, to try
check it.
to not invest in the same thing, the same companies over and over again. So it's
uh,
telling me how I could split it up without selling. Because obviously, if you sell your stock, well, then, well, you get the money, but you have to pay your taxes on it.
capital gains.
So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, capital gains tax. So I'm trying to figure out, well, how can I do this without having to actually sell? And so it
I
helped me
see.
with that.
Yeah, it was that was actually one of my questions for you. So I'm glad you brought it up. Is at this point for somebody such as myself, who who doesn't have any investments in any stocks, where would you start, or would you recommend still investing in an index fund?
For me, I think the best and the easiest is the index fund
Mm,
because it's something that over the years you're gonna make money. Obviously, it's gonna go down, up and down, always like anything. But right now, I think a normal S&P 500, you're probably gonna have an average of maybe 11-12% returns over time. Once again,
sure.
if you start now and then something happens with the economy, it's gonna crash, but it's gonna go down. But eventually,
Sure.
it's gonna come back. It's gonna
Right.
go back up, and long term, you can't go wrong with that. That's why
Right.
I try to show my students like how the advantage of it's something easy and simple that you can do. Because when you decide to invest in one particular company, so for example, Tesla,
Right.
if Elon Musk decides today I want to tweet something crazy, well then Tesla stock goes down and
If and when.
you
If and when.
exactly. Yeah, more better said, yeah. And so now that investment goes down also with that one. But at the
Sure.
same time, if Tesla's doing really well, it goes up, but it can go up really high, go down really low. And when you have an
Yeah.
index fund, you have a group of companies. So if one company is going down, well, the other ones will hopefully be staying at par or going up as also. So you're not as affected as much by a bad day or a bad investment or a tweet
Okay.
from the owner of one company, as it's a group of several companies, if not hundreds or thousands of companies.
I see what you mean. So lower risk, lower volatility, if I'm using the right
Yes.
word.
Lower
Okay.
returns also because obviously
Right.
what you
Low
almost the same
risk,
thing.
low reward.
Exactly. Sticking with Tesla, You put it in and Tesla takes off. Well, maybe you have, I don't
Yeah.
know, something crazy goes up 200%, but also at the same time, he tweets something, it could go down.
Right. Right. So I think what I'm hearing from you is you have to be in it for the long haul. This isn't swing trading or day trading. This is long-term investment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Day trading is what everyone likes because it's exciting. It's where you can make money the most and quickly. But as I tell my students, there's people that go to university for their 4-year degree, they get their master's, and still they're not capable of doing it really well because I'm not gonna say the market is completely unpredictable, but it's supposed to be unpredictable.
Right. Right. It
There's
seems that
always
certain people know what's going to happen.
exactly. There's
Takes a little bit of the fun out of it, but not really for them if they're
it-
profiting.
that's
But we
that's
won't
how
go
it
down that
works.
road. We don't have
That's
to go down that road.
that's a whole different, whole nother episode.
That's a politically driven episode. That's not what we're getting into today, folks.
Yeah, but it
But
is quite interesting to see how certain politicians have made a lot of money
mhm.
during their period in working as a politician, being a politician.
Yes. I'm biting my tongue. It's
Yeah.
so easy to like go down the road.
Yeah.
It's like I have a statistic in my mind. Well, actually, I won't
Yeah.
mention it.
But also,
Back.
politicians on both sides.
Oh yeah. It's a
Yeah.
bipartisan clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Well, just for lack of better words. Well, I forgot where I was going to go from here. Well, back to the overarching feeling behind increased productivity for businesses, for companies. This idea that, well, if they can produce more and they can produce it essentially for cheaper, if they're hiring fewer people or they're able to maximize profit. We'll just simplify it down to
Yeah.
they're able to make more money, right? They're producing more, they're making more money. Do you think that in a lot of cases, some cases, or no cases, what's the probability that this will be passed down to the consumer?
I think it really just depends on that person, that entrepreneur, that business owner. How do they see the whole situation? Is if that's something that they want to do? Is they say, I want to use AI to increase the sales, reduce costs, and then I want to have more money, and then I can do that with that money I can have better conditions for my employees, or I can make the products cheaper for the consumers. If they want to do that, obviously they can do that. But in the past, what usually happens, the opposite. Well, they keep their profit margins, and for them or for the business, it's not anything that's passed on down to the consumers.
Right. It seems like greed ends up taking over at some point.
Exactly. But it also depends. Like they say, like, for example, if all of a sudden someone has a lot of money, they come into a lot of money, it's like, how are they going to spend that money? Are they going to do good things with the money, or are they going to do bad things with the money? It's just, well, basically just depends on that person. Like,
Sure.
you have good people and they'll take the money, do good things with it, or you have people that are not so good and they get the money and they'll waste it or do whatever. So whatever type of person you are, when you have that money, it uh, takes it to the next level by having
Sure.
the extra income or extra cash on hand.
Took it to a new level. No, that's right. That makes sense. I guess it depends a bit on the philosophy of the business owners, the key stakeholders, where they want to see the direction, and also the cost of reinvesting in the business. Because if we're
Exactly.
reinvesting in the AI infrastructure, depending on how much they want to rely on outsourcing that, or if it's just more cost effective to do it all in house, I don't know the ins and outs of all that, but I imagine there's going to be this point where it's going to be obviously better for the company to offset the increased cost of AI integration by reducing the workforce. People are going to lose their jobs and or have to change jobs drastically. But I think at first it's going to be this like mass unemployment, maybe not mass, but gradually most companies are reducing. Yeah, they're going to have to reduce to employees while it kind of bounces back. while the cost, productivity costs go down eventually, but at first it may not really. I don't know how you see it,
But
but
yeah, we've seen it already with, I think it was Facebook, maybe, I don't know, maybe a month ago, 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, saying that they were gonna basically fire about, oh, I can't remember how many, maybe about 6,000 employees or something like that. And because it was gonna save them, I think I saw about $3 billion. So once again,
hard to
if you
say
don't,
no.
exactly, you have this technology that can do the same thing that people are doing with very high salaries, and they can do it for minimum cost. Obviously, nothing is free. It's going to cost something, but it costs less than the salaries of those employees. For what's the business decision that they're going to make?
Exactly.
And that's
That's
happening
what I
now
mean.
with these large companies. Now,
Yeah,
the problem's going to be when it starts spreading to more and more, and not just the large companies, but also medium-sized companies and small companies. But at the same time, it's an advantage because now it is possible for you to start a business by yourself and use an AI, and you can be able to not necessarily take on like the biggest companies in the world, but you can get started
sure.
and create your own little spot in the market and get going and grow. It is
That's
definitely
true.
made it easier for people overall, but at the same time, well,
Right. But like you said, 86% of people aren't using it. And that means 86% of people probably just don't know how, because a lot of
exactly.
times barrier to entry is skill.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. It's something I tell my students, like, especially now because they're older. So, like in the U.S., it'd be like juniors and seniors. Here in Spain, bachillerato. But as they're getting ready to go to the university, I always tell them like, you have to, especially now, you have to know how to use AI. Like AI is not going anywhere. So it's going to be a requirement for you to know how to use it correctly and how to use it in a way to help you, not just to say, oh, I got to write a paper on this. So write me a paper on, I don't know, on Hemingway. No. How can you actually use it to be productive and efficient and create something? That's what it's
yes.
going to be necessary, not just
Right.
for you to do your homework.
Right. Right. You're going to have to use it as an assistant that doesn't do the work for you, but
Yeah,
helps you do the work better
yeah,
than without using it.
exactly. I would say
Because you still got to work.
you gotta use it as a business partner.
Yeah.
You gotta see it as that like we're working together. How can we make this better? What can we do? Go back and forth and see. I have this idea. Is it good, bad? What can I change? Go back and forth.
So you sound pretty optimistic.
I try to be. I want to be.
I think
Obviously,
I think we're
there,
quite similar that way.
there's another side that obviously, or we can go down that rabbit hole, but I think I think we'll be okay for now.
I like it.
For
For
now.
now. For a time.
In all honesty, it really does depend on how the powers that be use it and control it and regulate it. And because just like
Regulators. I don't know.
anything, like it's a resource that can be used for good or for bad. If it gets
Agreed.
into the wrong hands, well, things can change pretty quickly.
Agreed.
But there are positives of it.
Now, I mean, just stop me if you want to ask a question or
You go
pose
ahead.
something.
You go ahead.
I've got things circulating in my mind right now. But innovation has always driven the work market, like the job market and
Hmm.
employment and the types of jobs we have and the ease with which we can do our jobs. So you're looking back 50 years, 100 years, inventions that are machines, essentially it's
Yeah.
the technology. It's always the machines that change the way we work, change jobs for us. So is it really just kind of the same thing, same story? Or do you think this could be different in terms of having, just because maybe, I'll stop there. What do you think?
It is the same thing. It's happened over and over again. But the main difference here is the fact that everything is changing so rapidly.
Okay.
I think, at least for me, from what I've seen, that's what I see is the biggest change. Other changes were gradual; they took time, but this change is now,
That's what I
and I
hear a
think,
lot is that it's the pace. But I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. I feel like that's just fear mongering in a different way. I want to say that that's what they're trying to get us to feel like, but it doesn't seem like it's that fast. It's fast. Don't get me wrong. Like things are changing monthly. Every
yeah.
few months, you get a little bit. You notice a little bit of a change in how you're interacting with AI. But
But
I don't
once
know.
again, I think this goes along with the fact that most people don't use AI; they don't know anything about it because, like you said, every month there's like changes, there's new programs coming out. It's constantly getting better, nonstop. And I think a lot of the things that happen, a lot of the advancements, the improvements, we don't even know about it. We don't see it because once again,
Good
we're
point.
not those heavy users that are paying their, I don't know, maybe €200 or $200 a month subscriptions, and they're using it for their businesses, and they see all
Sure.
the things that are happening. But
True.
for us normal folk,
Right.
we know about it, we hear it, and we say, "Oh yeah, well, there's a new version coming out." But that new version's probably been in the works for the past month, and there's already like 3 more versions that are gonna be coming out in the
Yeah.
next, I don't know, in the next month that
No,
we
you're
don't know
right.
anything about yet.
You make a
But
really good point there. Yeah.
I don't know. I just see that we see it, but we don't see it actually.
Right. Yeah. You only know it as far as you use it. So,
Yeah.
the way you use it. And the way we use it is research primarily. I don't use it really for any automation. I don't automate much of
No.
anything at this point. So, yeah, there's things that we're just not tapping into, just you and I, the average users.
Yeah.
You know, we're paying our whatever pro subscription, not the max subscription.
Yeah.
And we don't need it. Personally, we don't need it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm very comfortable with the plan I'm using.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
I'm kind of interested. I'm interested just to see, like, oh yeah, right, for 200 euros a month, like
yeah. Oof.
what could the cloud and all these different AI platforms do? But once again, I don't need it. Like it's not necessary for
Right.
me. Maybe once again, if I had like some business or I used it on a different level, well, yeah, it would be worth it. But I don't know.
For sure. For sure. Well,
What you thinking about now?
yeah, it's hard to know which way to go. I mean, their jobs, some jobs obviously, or maybe not so obviously, should or could be safer in terms of AI having less of an impact or virtually no impact on them. Do you think teaching, I mean, we're teachers, right? So this affects us. Do you think teaching is relatively safe, or is that just wishful thinking?
I think in the short term, yeah. In the short term, yeah. But eventually, I think teaching is a profession or industry that could be, well, not replaced completely, but there are areas where AI could come in and be obviously more effective than humans.
But do you think there would be virtual classrooms, or let's take the example of, well, we still want the kids to go to school. We still want them to be together, right? We want them to be physically in the same building. But what if instead of paying teachers, they invested in AI and they
Yeah,
had a virtual professor in each classroom, whether it's actually a robot standing there or
yeah.
if the room is just fully automated and the administrators of the school or maybe 5, 10 people kind of manage the different subjects and
There's
like,
already schools like that.
are there?
I think I saw
Yeah.
something. I don't know if it was like maybe 60 Minutes. I'm pretty sure it was a school in New York, and this was like last year. It's not any time recent. It was last year. But it basically it's a school like that. It's actually building. You have your administrators, you have people that are there, but the teachers are it's all AI. Like the children they went to the different classrooms and they had these AI programs. So they had like different, it's like laptops and tablets, and they would work and do schoolwork with their AI teacher. Obviously, that's something I don't think not yet is something that can be spread out worldwide, countrywide, everywhere for everyone. But in small
Hmm.
groups, it's definitely an option for specific groups of people that think it's worth it.
That's wild to think.
And then more than that, they're open to trying it out and see if it's going to work or how it's going to turn out.
I would be, I'd say, more pessimistic about that, the effectiveness of that,
Hmm.
and also the negative effect it would have on socialization. And the fact
Yeah.
that even, we have to link social media. Social media is the biggest thing in our generation so far, and now it's going to be AI, the biggest technological shift in how people interact. And so the isolation that's already occurred, the mental health issues that have already been worsening since
Hmm.
the inception of social media, coupled with AI, I think we have to be really careful not to further isolate people and restrict them from interacting. I mean, if you have a
Yeah.
teacher who has life experience, I suppose you could train AI on life experience, but it's not the same
Yeah.
when you're hearing a machine tell you something versus a human giving expressions and
Yeah.
changing their energy. You feel that we have
That human
this
contact.
the life force, yeah, that human contact.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Obviously, it's not going to have that. It's going to have all the information, be able to give you the information directly, straightforward. Like you say, well, break this down for a 5-year-old or explain it more in a difficult fashion or whatever it is, they can do that. It has all those capabilities. But that human
Mm.
impact, that human contact that we're used to and that we've grown to, I don't know, love. Like that's kind of some of the best parts of being a teacher is actually when you have that connection with the student that I really appreciate you or see you not for you being a teacher, but like for the person that you are. And obviously that with AI, that's not going to happen.
Right. You ask AI, so what's your life story? I was born in a computer. I actually was not born because I can't be born, because
Exactly.
that changes the meaning of being born. It's not the same as you being born. That's just so weird.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
Here's something I was also thinking about. I guess it was last year or maybe 2 years ago when Apple came out with was the Apple Vision Pro, like the headset.
Is that
And I was
virtual
like,
reality? Augmented reality?
yeah, it's augmented, yeah. And
Okay.
so that's like the fact that at some point I was telling the students then that like this continues, basically like you're not gonna have to go to class anymore because what are you gonna do? You're just gonna be sitting at home. You'll put on your headset. You can connect to a class and imagine the teachers also, if the teacher's still around, it hasn't been replaced by AI, but you have a teacher connected with their headset, and it'd be just like everyone's in their own spot, like it was during COVID. Everyone's at home, wherever they're at, and you're having class without even going anywhere. You're just sitting there with your headset on.
Well, I'm down for that. I think that's good for sick students, sick teachers. If you're not so sick that you just need to be in bed all day, maybe you're just sick and you're contagious. You're blowing your nose every 5 minutes. I mean, there are levels to this. There are reasons for this, or whatever, any other reason, or maybe it's just bad weather. Maybe you live in a place
Yeah.
where there's bad weather and you can't physically make it to school. I think that in areas where it is obviously not going to drain all their financial resources of the school because it's still not cheap, that should be kind of something we have on hand. It's not the same,
Yeah.
you know, doing this versus having an hour lesson, or having a child attend the lesson, not have to miss school entirely, miss the lesson. They can, at least observe. Maybe they can't interact, but they could at least observe and feel like they're sitting at their desk, watching the teacher, being able to turn their head and see the classroom.
Hmm.
That obviously takes more technology than I'm versed in, but it could be cool. It could be cool.
That's it. But once again, we go into the whole fact that if it was spread out all across the board, well, then we lose that whole social contact again. So
Right.
yes,
You
you
don't
may
want
be
it to
able to
replace.
see it visually, but yeah, but it wouldn't be the same as actually being in a classroom with
No,
everyone
it could
having
never
that
be the same.
contact. Like you said, but it's a great idea for specific situations where you can't get to school, you can't get to work, or it's
No.
better than not having anything.
Going back to the effect on our wallets. Now, so I read that I think it was the World Economic Forum. I'm pretty sure that I'm quoting that right. They projected that by 2027, that means by January, I suppose, or sometime next year,
Yeah.
about 14 million jobs globally lost. Of course, there are some, whatever, can't do math right now. Let's say it's 83 million jobs lost and 69 million jobs created. That's still a net loss of 14 million jobs.
That's
Do
a lot of
we
people.
need, there's a lot of people looking for work that are already looking for work. I mean, it's in some places we know in Spain, it's not easy to find jobs.
Definitely
There's a
not.
lot of people competing already. And so, do you see the need for a guaranteed universal basic income? This has been on, Elon's been talking about this for years now. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
even a decade at this point. Do you think that's feasible? Do you think that's necessary? What are your feelings on that?
I think we kind of touched on this on the AI episode. I can't remember, but I believe so.
I think we did.
But the fact that if we get to the point where I think with the loss of 14 million jobs, it's a lot of jobs, but it's still not a lot. I think it had to be more extreme to the
Mm,
fact that the majority of the labor force is unemployed, and then it would be a necessity, a requirement, just to so that people will be able to survive, to have some sort of universal basic income to survive.
right.
I think it's going to take some time for that. But more than the issue of not having a job is like, okay, if you were to have a universal basic income, well, where's that money coming from? Because once again, we've gone through this
Thank you.
problem in the past. If you have, if you have this money that you're going to pay everyone, whatever it is, 2,000, 1,000, whatever, how many euros or dollars a
Mhm.
month, but where's that money going to come from? Because once again, if you just print it, money loses value, inflation goes up. So now that 1,000 euros that you're going to give to everyone, well, that's not enough. So now you got to give them even more. So the
Mhm.
bigger issue is if you want to do this, cool, it's a good idea. But uh, depending on different things, could be a good idea. But most importantly, where's the money going to come from?
Federal Reserve, they just print more of it. No? It's easy,
Like,
right? Just hit print.
yeah,
Print my money. Thank
exactly.
you.
It's always one of the things I really like the most is when I actually explain how inflation works and the fact that you just can't print money. And the kids finally figure it out and they see it and they're just like, oh, okay, now I understand. Like when the whole like money doesn't grow in trees, you just can't print it. Like I see now why why you can't do that. Like I said, it's taking every four, so when they're about 15, 16 years old, it starts clicking. I was like, all right.
Well, it's still kind of hard for me to see even as an adult because I guess it seems so much like a game to me that I shut myself down from really diving into it, learning more about it, or caring enough. But so you're saying if people have more money to spend, then they have more purchasing power. Okay, so they have more money if it's just given to you. But how exactly would printing more money drive inflation up?
Because if you print more money, it loses value. And
By what mechanism?
you put in more money into the market,
Okay,
and so it goes down. So you're
right.
not gonna
So
have it's gonna have less purchasing power because the more money that you create, I want to say create or print, and in the end, it's the same thing. The value goes down, and so that's why when
hmm.
the governments print money, it's not a very good thing because they're increasing the supply of money, which is causing the value to decrease.
So it's only valuable because it's scarce.
Exactly. So if you start putting more and more money into the market, it loses all the value. I think this is I can't remember the exact year, but maybe I can't remember if it was the late 90s or early 2000s. Like Zimbabwe had hyperinflation. Like this is in the economics book, and I remember seeing like basically like to get a loaf of bread, you had like the people going to the bakery with like stacks of cash. It's like just to get a piece of bread because a loaf of bread because the money that had lost so much value.
So the cost of bread was so high,
Yeah, yeah. Because the
but
money,
people had the money.
the value of money was so low that you had literally had to go with like a stack of cash just to get like a loaf of bread
I see
or
what you mean.
something so small because the value the money was so it lost all the value.
Right.
And so and that's because they just started they were in debt and they just started printing money and printing more and more money and then so it
Um,
doesn't help it. It makes the situation worse always.
yeah.
Like
I guess I can see that now.
in COVID, the US government they printed money because it was basically either that or everything was going to collapse. Like it was going to be bad. So in that, if you, I don't know, I think we talked about this also, but the inflation here in Spain in COVID went up to 10%, which is insane because it was prior to that, it was around 0% or right less than one. So it
Whoa.
went up a lot. Yeah, it was insane. I forgot where I was going with that, but all right, I was
Hyperinflation.
yeah, the hyperinflation. But yeah, I would say printed the money because it was basically life or death situation. So they said we'd
Okay.
rather print the money now and have it and deal with this, or at least have the money now, and then later on in the future, we'll figure out how we're going to deal with the inflation and everything that's going to happen. So we're still dealing with the effects of money the money printing that took place 5 years ago and in COVID, and it's going to be going on for a while also because on top of that, you have all the wars and everything going in. It's not helping, and so
Right. Cost
the
is going up and salaries aren't.
exactly.
So that's a good segue then. Considering inflation, considering AI, cost of production, all the give and take and the ebb and flow.
All
Tell me.
right, so let's leave it there. So I want to continue with the universal basic income.
Yes.
And maybe your thought will come back. On the opposite side of the universal basic income, which is kind of like I guess, the pessimistic view, saying that, okay, so basically AI is going to be doing everything. People are not going to be working. People have no function or anything. So basically just give them money so that they can survive and, well, basically that, so they can survive. There's also people that talk about, I guess this is like the opposite. The optimistic view is called the universal high income. So I think this is kind of what you were touching on at the beginning. So basically with AI, with everything going so well, yeah, higher production rates, better efficiency, higher incomes, everything and everyone is going to be doing better because of it. And so because everyone is doing so well, like you're not going to need any type of universal basic income or anything like that because everyone's going to be receiving the fruits of the labor from AI. Me personally, I don't see this happening for
Okay.
everyone. It's going to happen, like, kind of what we said earlier. For certain people, obviously, they're going to be in that situation where everything's going to work out really well. They're going to make lots of money,
Right.
but the majority of people are going to get left behind. I
Yep.
see more of the opposite with the universal basic income being something that's going to need to happen or possibly happen more than this idea of a universal high income where everyone is doing well because of everything happening with AI.
That seems, yeah, like a long shot.
Yeah,
I
because
don't see that. At least
they
not in the
say,
short term.
I know, definitely not in the short term. But once again, it all depends on the leadership, who's in charge, and who actually or makes the right decisions, because it's something that could happen. So all of a sudden, if we are going to a period of where everything is going really, really well, how are they going to take that, or what are they going to do with that money? How are they going to manage it? If you're going to take it and put it back into the economy or put it into the businesses or put it into the society, well, obviously that's good.
Hmm.
But when you have certain individuals that are making the money and the decision is up to them, well, just they can do whatever they want with it. It's like, imagine having
Right.
like some sort of sovereign fund, so where the government is making money or making so much money from AI, and they say, okay, well, we're going to take this money and we're going to create a fund and we're going to put X amount of profits that we make into this, and we're going to use that money to pay pensions, or I don't know, or to use for whatever it is that they want to do. Obviously, something like that would work, or it would be not work, but it'd be good and helpful.
Hmm.
But you have to have people that want to do that and use the money for that. There's countries that already have that or do have sovereign funds, and it works out really well for them. But yeah, to get
Sounds
everyone on track.
sounds like usually, well, if history repeats itself, and a lot of times it does, it looks, it doesn't, it's not exactly the same, but it rhymes.
How do you see yourself using AI over the next, we'll say over the next year? So not even that far in the future. The next year, so pretty much short term.
How do I see myself using it?
Yeah, anything different from now? Do you see, or is like some way that
Well, I
you?
I like I had this idea that, since we were talking about money and our wallets, in that it should be able to get us to save or help us save money or spend less money on certain things. Now, that's kind of tough when you have your subscriptions that you like, your Amazon
Mhm.
Primes, your Netflix, and all that. Like, there's only so many places you could shop. But I was thinking, especially with travel, how it's already really helped me act as like a virtual travel agent. It's helping you come up with ideas, not just so much on the money side, but on the like, what do we want to do on this trip? What are our
Yeah,
priorities? But then, yes, on the money side as well, if you could get AI to automate searching, like you wouldn't have to search every day or every week the flight prices or the hotel prices and stuff like that. You get AI on your team for that, then most people should be able to benefit from savings like that. And that's where I feel like as there's a bit more like public awareness and public ability in terms of how to use AI, companies will be forced. This is a very optimistic view, but
hmm,
companies will be forced to lower their prices because they will have to compete with the companies who are lowering their prices. Of course, obviously, the consumer is always looking for the best deal, the best value. Everybody wants to travel, but until those salaries go up, and
gonna be difficult.
that looks like it's gonna be difficult in the short term. I mean, we're having, like you said, inflation, war, other things,
Mhm.
AI infrastructure being built, AI investment, period, loss of jobs. People aren't going to be making more money, at least in my opinion, the way I see it, anytime soon. At least I mean,
Like I
I don't see
said,
that change. I don't know about you.
a very small amount of people, a very small group.
Right. But if we can educate the public on how to use it to their benefit, if there are no restrictions on the abilities of AI set by the private companies, if there is indeed democratic governance of AI, that all people have the same access to the same tools and skill sets that these AI agents can use and utilize, then perhaps people can educate themselves on how to be sharper in terms of saving money and spending money and all that jazz. And hopefully, I don't know. It's just a super optimistic, maybe naive uh, perception or perspective on things, but I just that came to mind.
All right.
So
Follow-up question.
okay.
Um, how comfortable are you putting in financial information into the different AI platforms?
I'm not really using my financial situation as input. It's more about getting objective results back. Maybe asking how much something should cost, or what's fair, or what is more or less reasonable for a product or service or something like that.
Mhm.
So I'm not using it to invest. I don't like I told you before. I don't have any
Yeah.
investments, so I'm not using it on that level. I'm not giving it my personal financial situation. And you?
Or like you said, like for a budget, like you said, if I'm making this much money, how can I, like you said, save more money? Something like that. I imagine that would be the most common way for like a normal person to use it to help with their financial situation.
You would have to, I guess,
Yeah.
to give it, yeah, without giving it too many details. But I mean, yeah, you'd have to share those things. But I don't think that for me, that's not really too personal. That type of
Oh,
information, it's not to me. I'm
okay.
not somebody who is gonna claim or give the appearance that I have more money than I actually do. Um, and I'm not gonna. It doesn't matter to me who knows that. That's just not how I judge my existence or my reputation. I don't base it off of that. So, but I guess
Okay.
I understand that some people would. Some people would be more apprehensive to use AI.
People that have
Uh,
more money than us.
yeah, well, especially people have, yeah, right. Because then if that information is leaked, and you know, if data is stored, data can be stolen. And it's a bit hard to process all this information without having it stored, without AI giving
Exactly.
it that memory capacity to where it can remember the past conversations you had and those types of things. So I see your point. I see where you're going here with the data privacy and security issue. I mean, we do have to consider that. That is a major thing. And that's also part of education.
Yeah.
Now, if we could just give everybody, 2 years to go to AI school and learn about all the cyber security awareness training and AI, how to use AI, and somehow we're able to re-educate the public and bring them into the new AI workforce, then perhaps there's a way to not lose humans into jobs. We don't have to
Yeah.
lose our ability to work. We just have to know how to use the new machines,
Exactly.
just like all the machines we invented in the past. We had to learn how to use them. You press these buttons to get these results. If it gets broken, how do you fix it? Okay, well, there's still a human element to that. And I don't see this being too different. In the end, it's just, like you said, things are changing so fast. And the the ability of people to keep up with that, the average person, there's no, you know, there's no system in place for right now for people to stay up to speed.
Yeah.
We're living our lives and our jobs don't require AI, although as a tutor, it does help me do mine.
Oh,
And I know as
definitely.
a teacher, it helps you do yours, but it's
Mm,
not something we rely on and we
no.
need to do our jobs. It does help, but we don't have time to sit here and learn about all the ins and outs and how to automate and what it all that means anyways. So
I think what you said about people learning and taking 2 years. Well, obviously 2 years is a lot of time, but there are lots of courses like you have to learn is something that's necessary. I was thinking that my bank sends like messages saying, "Hey, we have these free courses, like different AI courses." Like even the bank is like trying to get people to learn, and they know it's important. It's necessary for
that's true. I've seen things like
for
that too.
everyone. Yeah,
Yeah, people aren't really, I feel like the biggest thing missing is an incentive. There has to be incentive, especially when it's something that, not everybody's interested in technology like you and me. We're a little bit more open to it. We grew up with it. We've been using computers. I've been using computers for 25 years, 25 plus years. I've gone from big brick computers to flat
yeah.
screen monitors, like no tower, like all the different, you know, formats, and it's crazy to think, but
Mm,
some people are just like, no, you're going to tell me I have to learn this thing? Well, what is it? What am I going to get out of this? And it's normal. That's normal. And even for us, it's the same thing. Like,
yeah.
it has to be measurable. Has to be something real. Hmm.
When you're talking about using a computer for so long, I just thought about playing Oregon Trail back in elementary
Yeah,
school.
it's funny. It's one of my core memories for like the first years on the computers.
Oregon
It's
Trail.
okay. You finished your typing practice, okay,
Exactly.
you get 20 minutes left. Oregon Trail, Carson. All right.
Exactly.
Boop, 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 boop. Oh, somebody got freaking dysentery. Oh, man, come on. Got to cross the Snake River. Okay.
Yeah. Everyone died.
Everyone dies.
Alright.
Just, and we enjoyed that shit. It was so
Oh,
basic,
definitely.
you know,
And I think about
playing the
how we
Oregon
we
Trail.
go from that, from like Oregon Trail, the most basic, simple thing, to now we're talking about using AI for everything, every little detail of your life and how it can help you.
It's
And we have it
wild.
all
It's
here. We
wild.
have it here. We have that here, and it tells you anything and everything you want to know, how to do it better, when to do it. Technology is amazing.
I wouldn't have it any other way, honestly. I think it's exciting. I'm generally an optimist when it comes to technology in general, but especially AI. I think it's just cool.
Yeah.
It's sharing, it's duplication, it's replication, it's putting the minds, the collective minds of humanity into computers and letting people tap into that knowledge. Just the core concept of it is so cool. And for me, so logical.
Yeah,
And I think I see it more as cooperative than isolation,
it has to be.
less geared towards isolation. I think it's cool.
Yeah, and I think it's also good for us. All right, advantage that we have is that we've seen the different types of technology and how it's changed, like I said, over the last 30 years. And so we can kind of appreciate what's happening now and we know the power of it. And when I think of like our students, like our high school students, they've always had technology. They've always had a smartphone. Like they don't know any other type of phone.
Right.
And so I think it's a little bit more difficult for them to see what they have with AI and the power that all of the power that it has and what it can do. That they don't appreciate it. I don't think as much as we do.
For sure.
They
On
enjoy it.
the
They
sub
say, "Oh, I can do this really easy," and it does this, but they don't understand like how incredible it is in reality.
No, it's true, man. And we already talked about the research aspect. Just how much easier it is to do research.
Yeah,
You don't have to, I mean, any step in the research process, AI could do much better than you and me and everybody. It's
yeah,
there. That's what it's essentially, that's what it does. It pulls sources, it summarizes it, puts it in layman's terms. It helps you understand it. It can cite the sources. It just does that automatically as a feature.
exactly.
And so, yeah, we were the manual laborers, and now the world is automatic.
Yeah,
And you make a good point. We have seen it. We went from flip phones and building forts and playing Oregon Trail to AI and smaller and smaller or thinner and thinner screens and more capabilities, and it's something we appreciate. I think it gives
yeah.
us a better appreciation for it.
True story. It's very good. It's amazing. It's amazing what we have here.
It's almost it's too good. But we're saying that now. And like you said, you made a very good point in that this conversation we're having right now, in even 3 or 4 months, could be completely different.
Mhm.
And it could be completely new revelations, like things we just couldn't even think of, um, jobs being enhanced or changed in ways that we can't really imagine because there's so many different types of jobs, so many situations where AI could be used or be used more optimally than a human.
Yeah,
But I'm hoping that maybe there's that middle ground where we can learn how to work with it and not put our brains in jars and say, AI, just do it for me.
do everything for us. Yeah, because
That
that's when we
that
get
is a
into that
danger.
state where no one has a use, no one has a need for anything, and then we need the universal basic income then, because we'll
Yeah,
be
possibly
useless.
different jobs or some purpose. We need purpose. We need to do something.
Yeah, you gotta have purpose. Um, I think this could be the last thing
Something.
to touch on. So once again, I don't believe we talked about this yet. You brought it up earlier, but with all this AI, well, obviously you have to have the data centers. A lot of times, what I've seen, because obviously in Spain, I don't know where they're building some. I saw something recently about where they're building a data center somewhere, and people are obviously not happy about it. But I see more in the U.S. about it going
Hmm.
into certain areas, and the people in those neighborhoods or those cities don't want them because they see their electricity prices go up. All of a sudden, they don't have any water. All these different things are happening, all the negative, and also the fact that they're building these huge warehouses, but then there's not really any jobs because it's just all computers. So
Mm,
going along with the whole fact about having more jobs, well, you building these massive warehouses, but no one's gonna be working in them. What do you think about that? The
interesting.
whole situation with the data centers and affecting
Yeah.
communities.
Yeah. I was watching a video recently with Elon, and he was talking about putting them in space
Hmm.
and how I think it's, if I could be mistaken, but keeping them, it's essentially ventilation is easier in
Yeah, it keeps them
space.
cool. Yeah.
It's more efficient up there. So the cost of maintaining, um, in dealing with the heat factor, because heat is produced, obviously, is a lot better. Obviously, getting it up to space is going to be a task. It's going to be an ordeal. It's going to cost some money. But I think that that is somewhat of a solution. I don't know if it's a full replacement, but I know that's in the works, at least SpaceX
Yeah.
or whatever new company Elon's going to create at this point. He's already got Starlink, which is a pretty
He,
badass product.
yeah. He's a trillionaire now.
Did he hit trillionaire?
Yeah, because SpaceX went public. So I think what I saw, he's up to, his net worth is 1.2 trillion.
So what's that point two? Is that a billion?
Yeah,
1 trillion,
that's
2
crazy.
billion?
That's insane.
Get out of here, man. Share the love. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So how do I really feel about that? I mean, if you're looking at countries like the United States where we have tons of space, I don't think it's going to be much of an eyesore if you put it in the right place. I mean,
But
you can go on. Yeah, tell me.
but that's the issue. Like they're actually putting the data centers. We have all the space in the world in the United States, and they're putting the data centers in cities.
Mm.
Like in the cities, like in communities, like next to where people live. Like the video that I watched, yeah, I think there was one in New Jersey that they put in the city, and one in Memphis that they were building. And the thing is, they don't say anything about it. All of a sudden, they start building it, and like in 2 weeks, they're done, and it's there. And people are like, "Well, what is this? Like, who gave them permission?" And
Mm.
specifically with the one in Memphis, I think the one in Memphis is for Elon Musk. I don't know if it's for SpaceX or Tesla or or for whichever one of his companies, but it was one of his.
It's interesting because I'm gonna have to get a little political on this one. Well, this is a little bit more about war, actually, but it's an asset. These are physical assets, and if we're putting them near human assets, as in cities, then we could potentially be putting targets too close to people. Essentially, communication is our most valuable asset as humans. Our ability to talk to each other, to receive information in real time. I mean, we had the outage not too long ago, and there was a bit of panic, even for me.
Yeah,
I wasn't too panicked, but there was a moment where I didn't know if this was some kind of cyber attack, or
that's
I
what I
wasn't
thought it
quite sure.
was.
Wasn't quite sure. We have learned to take it for granted that we can always reach out over the internet to somebody around the world. And I think even at this point, I was communicating with my mom over WhatsApp, and I couldn't, like, I lost her mid conversation or something like that. And I called her and I said, I don't know what's going on. When I did get service again, I didn't know what was going on because we lost cell, we lost Wi-Fi, we lost everything for a moment. So that is definitely something to consider strategically. I mean, the United States being attacked from the outside, okay, it's maybe unlikely, but it is a possibility. And moreover, there's just, yeah, that's where my mind went when you asked me that. And finally got to that point where it's not the same as putting a school near a military base, but
It could be.
it's something
It's
that can
getting
be
there.
targeted. It's a military base in the sense of, well, if you knock out this communication, if all these communications are relying upon this data center or that data center, then that can essentially be a target.
Yeah.
So don't know how I feel about them putting it too close to cities. That may not be the smartest or safest thing to do. It might be the most cost effective. It might make the most logical sense, but this is where patience and proper planning pay off in the end. And it's not just about saving a few bucks. So I think pump the brakes. Yes, okay, we continue. We should measure. I'm sorry. We should regulate the speed of product release in terms of AI. Here you go. Here it is. With how fast we're working on democratic governance as well as strategic planning and looking at the big picture. This is city planning. This is urban planning. You can't just, okay, here's a land. We want to build this. What is this? This isn't housing. This is something completely different. And not to mention maybe other resources that are being used and how they, like you said, how it's affecting people's electricity bills. It's like, we didn't vote on this. We didn't agree to this.
Exactly.
Why should I have to pay more because some private company wants to build a data center here? That's not fair. We can all agree that that's not fair. And then we get even more into this kind of, oh, the rich are the government. The rich determine, the private, companies are essentially making decisions on our behalf or things that affect us. And it's not just so easy that we have $1 trillion or $1 billion laying around and we can just pay a little bit more for an electricity bill. That means we can go out less, one time less per month. That means we have to buy this caliber of food or meat or whatever it may be, or I have to cancel the subscription. I'm sorry you can't take Spanish classes anymore or English classes. I'm sorry you can't go on that trip with your friends. Because if it's an electricity bill, then it's another bill.
Exactly.
And then it's another bill, and then just inflation and all that gets out of control. And then at some point, what are you gonna do? Like, you gotta eat, But then your quality of life goes down if you cut off other conveniences. So,
And what about the fact that, because it's something else I've heard and listened to different podcasts, but the people that are very pro AI, their argument, especially with the data centers, is basically that we have to do it. Because if we don't do it, well, China's going to do it. They're going to get ahead of us, and then they're going to be the leading source with AI, and then we're going to be behind and trying to catch up, and they're going to have all the advantages.
I hear that argument, but I don't fear competition with China. I don't. I would favor cooperation. I would favor still a safer, slower approach to it. If that meant it would be close, or, there has to be a way not to lose the edge over China while still doing things the right way. I don't have time to sit here and research exactly what aspects need to be considered and how fast are they doing it and how fast are we doing it. But I know that the US is still the center of innovation. We have the most creative minds. We have people from all over the world coming to live there, work there, and create and build and improve. And I don't fear that China, because they have a different or even a slightly better AI capability, that determines the economy outcomes for the whole world. I'm not convinced at this point, and that could change. And that could change until I see something, until I have more evidence of, oh, we don't want China to have this. But we still fear China, but until they do the bad thing, they're doing their thing. And they're not our active enemy. They're a competitor, absolutely. And they do, in some ways, have an upper hand, but so do we. And so if we play our cards right, maybe that doesn't have to be the backbone of the conversation. Well, if we don't do it, China's going to do it. That sounds a little bit more like an excuse to me than a reason. That's just how I see it. What about you? What do you think of that?
I would hope, once again, a little bit optimistic, but I would hope that the government would actually consider its citizens more than this competition, but we know that's not the case. There's always going to be the competition with China. I think they probably are ahead of us, and I think it's more of like the fear for the United States is like, okay, if they are really ahead of us, that we have to keep it as close as possible, because eventually at some point, well, the United States is not always going to be the number one economical power in the world. It's going to be a change of the guard eventually. The question is just when. It's going to probably be a while from now, but it's going to happen. And I think they're just trying to do everything possible to hold on as long as possible without it happening. And as we said before, like AI is it's a new force. It's coming up now. It's going to be here forever, for a long time in the future. And so it's something that they see as the way that we have to keep control on this. It can't let it slip away from us. But at the same
Right.
time, once again, you have to think about the people that are that are being affected by, well, data centers and, well, anything and everything else that goes along with trying to have this new technology. I
It's a
don't know.
great question because it also makes me think just the whole good guys versus bad guys. We got to do it because we're the good guys. We don't want them to do it because they're the bad guys. We can't lose to the bad guys because if we lose, then bad things will happen. But I mean, you're sitting here telling me that it's okay and acceptable and good to make your own country's citizens suffer or pay the price or not have a plan for them on the family level, on the community level. You got to take care of your own first. You got to take care of home. And I think there's just so much hype.
Yeah.
When I watch any video nowadays, it's almost just such a big turnoff for me. When I see a video, a thumbnail, a title, so misleading. It's all for the engagement. It's all for views. It's all
It's
for
all clickbait.
clicks. Just click on this. And then even sometimes, with the things they say, it's all this hype and fear. But like what it really comes down to is, do people feel like they're being fairly treated? Do people feel like they have a say in this? Did they vote on this? Are they even able to vote on this? Would they even know how to vote on this? Well, that's not fair. Well, that's not right.
Exactly.
So you sit here talking to me about China. Like, no, let's talk about home. Are we doing right by our people? I think we could do better. People are struggling. Prices are way too high for things. And, meanwhile, the rich get richer and the poor stay poor.
Yeah.
And the rich get real rich.
Yes, sir. Everything starts at home.
Gotta take care of home.
No matter what you're talking about, everything starts at home. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we sometimes forget that. We, people in general, not us, but
Yeah. We get lofty, man. We get like these grand ideas and plans and intentions, and it's maybe all well and good, but at the end of the day, it's not practical. It's not always practical. I think it's often not practical to go down that road and worry about those things, right? What are we really focused on our day to day?
yeah.
How we feel about the conditions where we live. Is it fair to go out and buy this or do that? Do I feel bad for spending money on something I enjoy? What can my government, what can my country, what can people? It takes all of us, takes a village, right? We got to do our part too. Like, how do we do this the right way? AI is one more piece of the puzzle, one more, variable. And we just have to learn to work with, to live with, and
Yeah.
hopefully it works out for the best.
Hope so. We shall see.
We shall see. So,
Maybe we'll be around or not. We'll have to wait and see.
I think it'll be all right. I don't think we're going to be Terminator anytime soon.
We'll see.
Heck,
We'll see when
never say never.
the Optimus robots come.
Let's see what kind of army takes over Taiwan. Robot army.
All right.
That'd be wild. All right, man. You got anything else you want to add?
No, man, it was good. I enjoyed it.
It's good.
Like we said,
Cool.
get a little bit more in depth in certain topics.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's nice to get your insights. And so, thank you for watching. We are the group chat. We'll be joined by Paulina in our next episode. Don't worry, she's still around. So if you like the show, please give us a like, share, subscribe. We're on all your platforms. So wherever you get your podcast, check us out, give us a follow, and much love. We appreciate you. Until the next time.
Take care. Be easy.
Thanks, y'all. See you soon.